and welcome to the Good Talk podcast, the show that aims to inspire positive change around the world. I'm your host, Francesca Hodgson, co-founder of GoodBox, a tech for good company helping non-profits with their digital fundraising. We're best known for our tap to give contactless donation points, and to all our donors and budding volunteers, a huge thank you. In this series, we'll be exploring how individual acts of kindness and mission-led organisations can make a real difference. At GoodBox, we live by the mantra that collectively, small change makes real change. So sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy listening to our Good Talk podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to you Bernie Hollywood, OBE. For those of you that don't know Bernie, he's an accomplished director, explorer, and fundraiser, having raised an astonishing 42 million for non-profit causes. He's raced 160 miles across the Sahara Desert, trekked to the North and South Pole, raced 150 marathons in his lifetime, with 41 of those consecutively, not to mention some Guinness World Records, a TED Talk, and an OBE. Now he plans his next adventure, a solo row across the Atlantic. We're here to talk to Bernie to find out a little bit more about what makes him tick and get inspired as to how we can all make small positive changes in our own lives. You'll find all the notes to this show and to Bernie's bio on our website at www.goodbox.com/podcast. But without further ado, please welcome Bernie. Bernie, in your own words, tell us a little bit more about what makes you tick.
Gosh, what a great opening question. I think really sort of passion to help people makes me tick. I've always had the passion from an early boy really to help others because of our family background, and really that's really transpired all the way through my life to where we are today. So my passion is really helping other people be the best that they can be and get to where they can be, whether that's by helping them with a mentoring situation, giving them advice, giving them support, or using the knowledge and the network that I have really to help those people up the ladder to where they need to get to or where they want to be.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So there are so many amazing stories that we could talk about, so many amazing things that you have done. But is there any in particular that stand out to you as being stories that you particularly would want to share?
Gosh, yeah, there are many, absolutely many adventures that we've been on, and many particular really adventures that have actually resulted in a great impact on the funds that we've raised for the charities that we've been connected to. I think one of the ones that stands out really is when we led a team of people to Base Camp Everest. Extremely challenging for anybody to actually trek at that height, and really the logistics of getting everybody there and getting everybody in shape and raising over £250,000 for Save the Children UK it was truly remarkable what we achieved, and it was achieved through the team as a whole, not as individuals or leaders. And what they all went through was quite arduous. There was a lot of dysentery and a lot of distress that many of our particular participants suffered through that particular expedition to the actual base camp itself. But nobody ever gave up, and the support of everybody around them, for people that had never done anything at that stage before, was truly humbling to see. And I have a saying that you lead from the back and allow people to lead from the front. And it was great to see them grow as individuals, but also grow as individual leaders. And really, when we achieved our goal, which was getting to Base Camp Everest, it's quite funny actually. There's an interesting story that in any group of people, you have people that really sort of march on and go forward and really want to be there before everybody else naturally, and then you have the people that really struggle physically. And it was my job really to look after those people in the back of the pack, to ensure that we all got to our goal collectively together. And as we went on day by day, it was a two week trek. Obviously, what we did is we made the decision really for the people that really were struggling physically to start the day early and finish the day later, to ensure that when we did get to base camp, we all got there together. And those people became stronger and stronger each day. And by the time we got to base camp, they actually got to base camp 3 hours before the lead team got there, which really was a fantastic achievement. They were absolutely cock-a-hoop about it. But it shows with the right care and the right control and the direction, everything can happen to a positive. And those people became much stronger than ever before. And it just shows you what can happen when, everybody inspires each other, and it's a collective. It's never ever an individual achievement. It's always the collective. And the leader really is somebody that just directs it in the best way they possibly can.
That's wonderful. And something you said there, and that really does mark a true leader, is that concept of leading from the back and never leading from the front. I think that's a really lovely thing for anybody listening to consider and to take away into their own lives, because if you're able to support those around you, it really does improve the environment for everybody. So really lovely. Thanks for sharing that. And
No, not at all.
particularly when we talk about something as phenomenal as trekking to base camp Everest,
Yes.
that's a huge endurance effort, as are everything that you've accomplished. I mean, I'm a keen runner myself, and I've run a not too shabby 5 marathons in my lifetime. And, I know firsthand how much it takes just to complete that one endurance event on that day, the hours of training that go into that. And really, it's not just about the physical attitude, but the mental attitude that is needed and required to actually undertake something like that. So can you tell us a little bit more and tell our listeners a little bit more about really what does it take to get behind an endurance event like some of the events that we've talked about?
Sure. That's a great question, Francesca. Yeah, I mean, mental resilience is important in everything that we do in life. And I think that's really sort of been amplified by the recent lockdowns we've all actually had to endure over the last 12 months of our lives. I think it's been a really torrid time with regards to the pressures from a mental health and well-being point of view that have been put upon everybody around the world. Well, when you actually relate that to any sort of physical event or an event endurance event that you're looking to achieve, there's one thing that you have to start with. And really, when you have a look at the goal of what you want to do, that's the motivation of why you want to do what you want to do for. So if you want to run 41 marathons in 20 days, the main aim of doing that was to raise, well, £1.5 million for Barnardo's at that particular time. And the great thing that I always tend to tell everybody on an endurance event is go and live and breathe the outcome of what you want to see. So what I did before every event that I do on a duration point of view is I actually get to understand the impact of what the money that you're going to raise will have on that particular charity or that particular project that the charity is going to use your funding for, and go and meet those people and see really sort of the impact that you have. Because when you come to do your events, although you'll train incessantly for it, and you'll start with your baby steps very, very gradually and then work your way up to where you need to be. You have to decide within your own mind whether you are going for a fastest time, or whether you just want to do it comfortably, or whether you just want to effectively get to the end of your goal and achieve your fundraising target. That all has to be worked out before you get to the start line. And when you get there, in those moments of anguish, when you're in a marathon, for example, and you say to yourself, what the heck am I doing this for? I just feel like I'm going nowhere and I want this pain to end. That's really when you have to call upon your mental resilience and your real true reason for doing that particular marathon or doing that particular event. Call upon and then visualize really the impact you're going to have on others with regards to the funding that you're going to raise as a collective. And there have been many, many, many times over the last 30 years, I'm doing many endurance events and many expeditions around the world, whereby I've always had those moments of doubt, because after all, we're all just human. And I do say to people that You know, I'm an ordinary chap doing extraordinary things, and everybody is capable of doing amazing things, providing that we can, you know, get the right environment and the right opportunities that come around together, and the magic just happens. So mental resilience is so important. I mean, I'm a human being, and I've broken down on many occasions mentally, whereby it all gets a bit too much, and you know, that's fine. You sometimes you have to let it go, and we all are very fragile when it comes to actually being pushed to that particular limit. But it's when you're at your lowest ebb is where you find your inspirational mojo and your moments to go forward and basically achieve your goal. So that will always happen. My late mother used to always say to me, she said, love, you always have to have your downs to have your ups, because you can never ever be here all the time. You can never be there. And those downs really are the fuel that gets you up the mountain to the peak again, and then you'll come back down again. So yeah, it just, mental resilience plays such an important part in everything that we do in life.
Thank you, Bernie. And that's so true. So an ordinary chap doing extraordinary things. I absolutely love that and completely can resonate. And I think the impact of the story is so vital and so important. And it's true to say that you've created such phenomenal impact just as an individual, and that's absolutely fantastic. So what got you into fundraising? What started your interest in earning?
It's again a great question, Francesca. So there are always pivotal moments in everybody's life whereby something actually happens whereby it takes you in a different direction. Sometimes it can be quite an emotional situation. Sometimes it can be a career decision of what you want to do. But sadly, 40 years ago, I lost my amazing mother and my amazing father through cancer-related diseases within 6 months of one another. So my mum died at the age of 58, and my dad died just over 60. And obviously, I was quite a young man at the time. I was 23 years of age, and both those particular people were so influential in my life with regards to how I was brought up as an individual and how they cared and loved me, and really took me to the next level of giving. Our family were just an incredible, loving, giving family. It was just in our DNA. We gave, and my mum, an amazing sage, an amazing individual, very wise for who she was. Always basically said that to give is to receive. If you give something away, Bernie, in whatever way that is, whether it's your time or your money or a resource, you'll get back so much in return, you'll not believe it. Now, at the time, I didn't believe it, to be fair. But I saw within our household what she did. She was very religious with the church, and she gave a lot back to the church at the time, and a lot back to the community. I could clearly see that message resonating. And when she sadly passed away, along with my father 6 months beforehand, my three great brothers and myself decided that we wanted to actually do something to give something back to mum and dad in memory of them. And we ran a marathon. Four of us ran a marathon. And running a marathon 40 years ago was like climbing Mount Everest. Today it's so normal for everybody to say I'm running a marathon. But then it was quite something special. And the four of us struggled like crazy around this marathon in Bolton that we did. But we raised a small sum of money, and we gave that back to the charity that basically was relating to mum and dad. And we just felt so good about what we'd done, even though it was quite arduous going through the actual torrid marathon at the time. And I just felt quite elated by the whole experience. And that's really where it first started. And then really I just fell in love with running, and particularly long distance running. And I never stopped since, and hung up my running shoes a few years back to jump on a bicycle, and then cycled around the world effectively with what I've done. to raise considerable sums of money for charities in the UK and overseas. And now I've just fallen in love with rowing. I started rowing 2 years ago, and I just absolutely adore the sport, adore the prospect of sitting in a boat and powering myself down a river. It's great. I just love to challenge myself in every way in which way I can, to be fair.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing such an emotive story. I think that's so powerful. And I can resonate so much in what you're saying. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners can as well. And it really goes back to that concept of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And if you can look at that glass half full, and you can look at how you can turn a negative situation into potentially positive situation, then I think there is so much good in that to be had for everybody. So thank you. Really. Thank you. And then on a practical level, so you've seen a way in which you'd like to help, you'd like to support your community, or there's a cause that you'd want to get involved with. What practical tips do you have for our fundraisers around what should be the first steps? Is there any particular types of style of fundraising that really works? I mean, really, what does getting to day zero look like when embarking on a philanthropic campaign?
Great question. Right, okay. The amazing thing about fundraising today, and fundraising over the last decade, has changed out of all recognition to the way it was 15 years ago, and that's due to the advent of the internet and digitalization as we see it today. In GoodBox how effective GoodBox have been with regards to transferring what we know as the shaky bucket syndrome into a digital experience, which has been incredible. It's been transformational for GoodBox and the charities that interrelate with you, which I've seen personally myself. But really, that really is the key of the nub of the question. It's really sort of now is using the most effective fundraising techniques you can for your campaign. So what I always say to everybody, and I mentor lots of people around the world in fundraising, and what I do say to them is that really before you even start to put any page together to basically invite people to fundraise to your cause, is do your research. Find out if there are any people or any companies or any organizations that have actually had successful fundraising campaigns with your cause. And it's incredible the impact that can have. If you do some research in advance and you set your stall out correctly, you've got a greater opportunity of achieving your fundraising goal. And the key to start fundraising your goal is really to start very, very small, right? And remember what the ask is. This is really important. You can ask for a number of things when you fundraise, because fundraising is involving obviously cash. Give us your money, open your purse and wallet. It could be open up your time bank and give me some time. Or it could be give me some other physical resource that really will help my campaign achieve my particular goal. So there are three things that you can look at. Now, funding is important, money is important. I always think that that's the lubricant that really sort of operates the actual mechanics of really what you want to achieve within your actual cause. But sometimes when you do a campaign, it necessarily can be part everything. It can be part funding, time, and resource. And if you look at most charities revolve around those three things. They need money, they need stuff, and they need time. And time is the most critical one of all three, because without people doing what they do, nothing happens. And what I say is that you need, the most important thing is intellectual capability within your charity cause. People with great minds and great hearts can achieve amazing things. So put that at the top of your list when you're looking at doing your campaign. And when I do my campaigns, I surround myself with absolutely incredible people with regards to the resources I need to get to my end goal. Maybe that's I'm looking for £500,000 or £1 million, but I know I can't do that on my own. I need those people around me to support me to get them to where I need to be. And also think about resources. Okay, time is great, but is there any stuff that people or companies can give me that can actually get me to achieve my goal without raising as much money as I need? And we've done that very practically as well in the past as well. But remember, when you start, to do your research, okay? And the 6Ps always come in to everything that you do in fundraising, which is perfect preparation prevents poor performance. And it's so important that you prepare everything before you jump in. So don't just set up your fundraising page and then think about what you're going to do and then just do it. The most successful fundraising campaigns there have been have been brought through before they've got to the start line. And try and make it unique. What's your unique point about coming to the start line with your fundraising campaign? The uniqueness of the fundraising campaign really sparks the people's imagination. And get your story right. Every campaign has a story behind it. And really, during the pandemic, the one that comes to mind every single time is Sir Captain Tom Moore. What an amazing story that just ignited the emotions, the hearts and the minds of the people within the United Kingdom, that really ended up with Sir Captain Tom raising in excess of £30 million. So that's what I would suggest to our fundraisers out there.
Absolutely. And what an inspiration Sir Captain Tom Moore was to the entire nation. May he rest in peace. Lots and lots of really, really good advice there, Bernie. Thank you. And so to all of our listeners, just a reminder that if there's anything there that really resonated with you, we'll have all of our show notes at goodbox.com/podcast. But really what stood out for me there was about your fundraising strategy, time, preparation, resource, really bringing all of those elements together, because a considered strategy, campaign, and of course mission will help amplify all of those efforts. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And then we've talked about a lot about your past and about inspiration, but inspiration, of course, is a key topic of our podcast. So just going back to that once more, is there anything else that you'd want to share with our listeners about what really truly inspires you?
Yeah, it's what inspires me is actually seeing, as I say, the human spirit do incredible things. Humans are capable of changing the world in a positive way. There's no question about that. What inspires me more than anything else is youth, is young people. Young people are really today more incredible than the youth of yesterday. And the reason why I say that is that what's happened over the last 10 to 15 years to ignite the youth of the world for change is the internet. It's brought youth together in such an amazing way that they do have a voice that really wasn't heard 15 years ago, is now being heard. And those young people are so knowledgeable, more now than ever before, because at the click of a mouse you can find out anything you want to about any project, whether it's an eco project, whether it's a fundraising project for a school, or whether it's actually helping young children in Yemen, whatever the case may be. Young children now are our future, not the future going forward, but they can actually make a difference today. And when we look at incredible people like Malala, and we look at Greta, and we can just go on and on and on. These are incredible activists that are making the world the place that we want it to be. And I've been very fortunate that I've been working with I sit on the board of a charity called World Merit. And we bring young people from all over the world together on our platform every single day. And we provide them with knowledge. We don't provide them with money. We provide them with knowledge and mentorship and direction to ensure that those young people can actually go away into their communities and make a difference in an amazing way by delivering the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. And our charity does an incredible thing by actually bringing those people collectively together on our platform every day and helping them deliver those small projects that have incredible impact in their local communities. And we do it all over the world. And it's just wonderful to see. So youth inspires me. And every time I come to do something, the amazing reaction that we have from young people really blows me away. they come together in such a way, and they are amazingly giving individuals. If you look at the research on fundraising in particular, young people give more money now to charity than my generation before, in such an incredible way. So they have an amazing role to play now and in the future.
That's fantastic, and a really lovely segue, because I'd love to talk a little bit more about the charities that you support.
Yes.
And I want to get on to talking about the Boat of Hope, of course, and your phenomenal 2022 Atlantic Rose. So talk to us, Bernie, about the Boat of Hope, what it represents, and of course the causes that it supports.
Well, the Boat of Hope campaign is a mission effectively to open up conversation about youth mental health here in the United Kingdom, but around the world. And it's quite personal to me, because when we look at the statistics for youth mental health in particular in the United Kingdom, they're absolutely frightening. Sadly, last year, over 250 young people between the ages of 11 and 18 took their life through suicide. And if you look at the worldwide statistic, it's every 42 seconds around the world, one person takes their life due to suicide. It's tragic. So really, having had some sort of impact in my life personally in the background of mental health illness within my own family, and I've seen the anguish that families go through when they have to actually care for somebody that's got mental health illness, I just felt that there was a way in which we could open this conversation and have an open talk about what we need to do to help our young people with their mental health and well-being. And that's really where the Boat of Hope comes in. The Boat of Hope basically will convey and open up that conversation to thousands of school children around the United Kingdom in early years and in student years, and also around the world, because when I do come to eventually row the Atlantic in the Boat of Hope, our Boat of Hope is actually something very, very different than just an ocean-going rowing boat that I'm going to row solo. It's going to be an amazing story of a floating work of art, which I've commissioned with an incredible artist in the United Kingdom called Justin Eagleton. And I went to Justin and I said to him, listen, what I want to do in my boat is I want to convey a story to the world of how a young person goes through a mental health issue and then comes out the other side in a positive way. Can you help me put that particular story together in a giant mural, which I can wrap around my boat so people can visualize it when it goes across the ocean, but also when it travels the United Kingdom and people see that boat and basically ask the question of why that image is in that particular mural. What does that represent? I can relate to that particular picture there. And we can open the conversation about youth mental health in a way that's never been done before. And that's really where it's all begun to come together. The boat is being made at the moment. It's a special ocean-going boat that's being made down in Burnham upon Crouch. Should be ready for launch in July. Our mural is coming together beautifully. Justin's actually starting to construct the mural wonderfully. He's finished one half of it so far. It's 42 foot in length. And the second half, which is the exciting part, involves young people. So next month in April 2021, we're launching a nationwide competition to 6,500 high schools and early years primaries for them to submit a piece of art to Justin and our team about what they feel hope means to them. And I'm sure we'll see some incredible pieces of artwork, but we're also asking for words and poems as well. And the winners will have their artwork, words and poems integrated into the mural, which will then cross the sea, 3,000 miles across the ocean. And will be seen by a global audience of around about 880 million people. The boat's going to be quite special from the point of view that what we wanted to do is we wanted it to be a really true, touching, feeling experience, and where the boat is going to go on a nationwide tour of 50 plus high schools and early years primaries early next year in 2022. And we're taking the boat into these schools to actually talk about mental health like there's not before, but also listen to those young people to find out what support they need in going forward. And the great thing is that GoodBox are involved in that particular process as well. It's going to be the world's first interactive donation experience of its kind in the world today, which means that if somebody comes up and wishes to make a donation, they can actually tap the boat to give as a donation, which will then go into a fund, which will then fund a new support network for children's schools in the United Kingdom, which will be the world's first. So when they actually tap the boat through the GoodBox device, they're going to get an amazing interactive reward in the form of a beautiful musical score that's been written by a mega pop star called Ben Hughes. Ben's written the score of music for the boat, which will then just be a wall of sound that hits the donor and give them that feeling of really well-being when they touch the boat, because that's really what we want to happen. There's so much more happening around the campaign. I could speak to you for hours about it, really. And from an early years point of view, we have an amazing author, children's author called Natalie Reeves Billings, who's actually written an incredible book called Bernie and Boaty, about a young boy called Bernie and Boaty that come together. And the story is conveyed in such a beautiful way with amazing artwork that brings the actual subject of depression to light for early years children. That's 5 to 10. And it's been so successful that it's now actually being made into an animation, which we're so excited about, which will be launching a little bit later this year when we unveil the boat officially at the House of Lords in October 2021.
Well, Bernie, I could listen to you all day. And I think on behalf of our listeners and behalf of all parents, just a huge thank you for bringing such an important topic of mental health and well-being, particularly in young people, to light. I mean, staggering those facts that you provided there, absolutely detrimental, but hopefully it will all inspire us to come together to give a greater support network. It's been an incredibly tough year with the pandemic. And so now more than ever do we all need to come together to really raise awareness of that topic. So we're all right behind you, and GoodBox couldn't be prouder, alongside your numerous other sponsors. You've done a phenomenal job at garnering such huge support to be able to make this campaign what it is, and it's just wonderful to hear about it. And we certainly I look forward to reading the storybook anyway when it comes.
You can read that with your kids. Honestly, Francesca, the book is incredible. You'll just love it. It's for everybody, for all ages.
Fantastic. Love a great storybook. And animation, of course. I believe it's going to be an animation.
Yeah, it's the animation. We've seen the drafts already from an amazing animation company called King Bee in London. Just wonderful seeing the story come to life in such a remarkable way. It really, really is.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Bernie, we wish you absolutely the best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Francesca.
And just before we conclude, just for our listeners out there, what advice would you give anybody who wants to make positive change in their own lives or their own communities? Is there anything else that you'd like to share with anybody listening about just how to get going on a new path, or just to change anything small in their lives so that they can make a positive impact?
Absolutely, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I've worked all over the world in many communities, affluent communities, and communities that are developing as well. And this is the same wherever you go. You cannot change anything without bringing people together. You can't do it on your own. It's really, really, really virtually impossible to do anything on your own. You need to surround yourself with great people. I will keep emphasizing this. And it's how you find those people that is the key to really the success of your actual projects, however big or small they may be. So the advice that I would say is this, is that your network is your net worth. So the thing that you have to do from the beginning, however young you are, start networking, start basically reaching out to people that you feel can help you get to the next stage in your life, whether that's an impact in your local community, or whether that's in your academic career or your personal career or your personal life. Go and speak to people that you know that can actually help you, and get them to mentor you as quickly as you possibly can. Reach out to people that have done it, seen it, and made an impact, and learn from those people. Don't make mistakes as you go along, because you really can actually go to the people that have done that already. And that will basically get you to your end goal very, very quickly once you've actually navigated around the issues that you've made, that those people have made in the past. Because the wisdom of others is the gold dust that will get you to your end goal as quickly as you wish to be.
Well, Bernie, what a beautiful way to conclude. And your network is your net worth. And honestly, I hope that our listeners feel as inspired as I do from listening to you. I could listen to you talk all day. And so just thanks again. Best of luck with everything. And for anybody listening, all of the bio on Bernie and all of his incredible achievements and how to follow him moving forward can be found in our show notes at goodbox.com/podcast. So thank you, Bernie. Thanks for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we look forward to seeing what comes next. Thanks, Bernie.
Thank you, Francesca. It's been an absolute pleasure, and continued success with everything that you're doing in your own career, but also the amazing work that you're doing with GoodBox as well.
Thanks for listening to Good Talk by GoodBox, the show that aims to inspire positive change. I've been your host, Francesca Hodgson, guest starring Bernie Hollywood. You'll find all of today's show notes and guest bio on our website, www.goodbox.com/podcast. Until next time, stay safe. Thanks for listening and goodbye.